Hello, welcome to the Learn English Lab. Today's podcast is Advanced English Podcast.
Glad to be here for this one.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one. So, I want you to start by picturing something with me.
Okay.
Close your eyes for a second, assuming you are in a place where it is, safe to do so.
Right. Don't do this if you're driving.
Yeah, definitely don't do that. But if you can, imagine you are sitting quietly by a window. It's a late, rainy afternoon.
Oh, I love that feeling.
Me too. You are just listening to the soft, steady, rhythmic drumming of the raindrops hitting the glass.
Just that sound.
Just that sound. The light in the room is dim, it's cool, and in this specific moment, there are no deadlines screaming your name.
That is rare.
Very rare. There's no phone buzzing in your pocket with urgent, panic-inducing notifications.
No emails.
No emails at all. No one is asking you to be somewhere to do something or to become someone you are not.
That sounds incredible.
There is just you, the sound of the rain, and a fleeting, profound stillness. Have you ever felt that, even for just a few precious seconds?
It is a vivid and beautiful image. And I think it perfectly encapsulates a feeling that millions of people around the world are desperately searching for.
Almost frantically searching for.
Frantically, yes. Every single day. We crave that stillness. We are starved for it.
We really are.
But the fundamental problem is where we tend to look for it.
Right. We look outside.
We look for it in expensive, complicated vacations.
Right.
We hope a white sand beach in another hemisphere will suddenly, miraculously quiet our racing minds.
Or we think a promotion will do it.
Absolutely.
Well.
We look for it in aggressive job promotions. We look for it in purchasing faster cars or reaching some arbitrary socially constructed milestone.
Thinking that will finally fix everything.
Leaving those external validations will finally deliver internal fulfillment. But time and time again, as the material we are diving into today shows us, they often just deliver deeper exhaustion instead.
Undeniably. And that brings us to the core mission of today's deep dive.
The architecture.
Yes, the architecture of inner peace. We are exploring the material we have gathered today to uncover a profound and perhaps surprising truth.
Which is that peace is not something you find out there in the world.
It is not a treasure you stumble upon.
Yep.
It is something you create internally. It is a robust structure you build within yourself, brick by brick.
And it takes actual work.
It does. And because this is the Learn English Lab, we are going to be doing something really special for you today.
A dual mission.
A dual mission, yes. While we unpack the psychology, the daily habits, and the profound mindset shifts required to build a peaceful life, we are simultaneously going to break down some highly advanced English vocabulary.
I am really looking forward to this part.
Me too.
Yeah.
We want you to master these concepts, not just emotionally and psychologically, but linguistically as well.
That is a crucial dual mission. Because the words we use actively shape how we understand and construct our internal world.
Right. If you don't have the words, you can't grasp the feeling.
Spot on. If we do not possess the nuanced vocabulary to articulate what we are feeling or what state of mind we are striving to achieve, it becomes infinitely harder to actually achieve it.
Language is the scaffolding of thought.
It really is. So as we navigate this journey together, we will highlight specific, elevated words and phrases.
We won't just define them.
No, we will explore their textures, their contexts, and their nuances so you can seamlessly integrate them into your own advanced English repertoire.
Let's start by unpacking this massive, fundamental misunderstanding of peace.
The trap.
The universal trap so many of us fall into. I like to call it the conditional peace paradigm.
Oh, the conditional peace paradigm. I know this one well.
You know the one, it's the whole, I will finally be peaceful when my crippling student loans are paid off.
Or I will feel happy when I finally move out of this cramped, noisy apartment.
Yes. Or I will be calm as soon as this nightmare project at work is over.
We treat peace as a conditional state.
A state that depends entirely on our external problems vanishing into thin air.
Which is impossible.
It is. I'll admit, I spent most of my 20s living in that mindset. I was always waiting for the after.
It is undeniably the most common psychological pitfall modern humans face.
The hedonic treadmill.
We are essentially running on a hedonic treadmill.
Yeah.
The fatal flaw in that logic is the assumption that life will eventually run out of problems.
Spoiler alert for the listener, it doesn't.
It never does. Life does not pause its relentless difficulties just because you manage to solve one of them.
You pay off the massive debt, and a week later, the transmission in your car utterly fails.
Absolutely. Or you finish the high-stakes project at work, and the very next day, a complex family conflict arises.
New problems are perpetually waiting in the wings to replace the old ones.
That is simply the raw nature of being alive. So, if your internal peace is entirely dependent on a problem-free existence, you will be waiting until the day you die.
Wow. True peace is not the absence of difficulties, then.
Not at all. It is the development of a resilient mindset that allows you to remain calm and centered, even when the difficulties are glaringly present.
It is the internal fortitude to say, yes, this situation is incredibly hard, but I am still here.
I am still breathing. I will navigate through this.
The material uses a really powerful analogy here that I want to share with you.
Ocean analogy.
The ocean analogy. It compares the human experience to standing on the shore of a vast, unpredictable ocean.
Picture yourself there.
Imagine you are standing barefoot in the sand, and the waves just keep coming.
Relentlessly.
Relentlessly. Some are small, gentle ripples that barely cover your toes, and others are enormous, intimidating walls of dark water.
Those waves are your problems.
They are your daily challenges, your unexpected crises, and you cannot stop the waves from coming.
No human being possesses that godlike power.
But what you can do is learn how to plant your feet firmly in the sand.
You can learn your stance.
You can learn how to let the cold water wash over your ankles or even crash against your chest without letting the violent undertow knock you flat on your back.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, that ocean analogy brilliantly highlights why a fundamental mindset shift is so crucial.
Right.
Peace is not about stubbornly trying to flatten the ocean.
Because you can't.
Because you can't. It is about your stance in the sand. It is your strength, your balance, and your emotional resilience amidst the turbulent waters.
When you adopt this mindset, you are no longer trying to control the uncontrollable ocean.
You are mastering your own posture. You can actually learn to appreciate the raw, wild beauty of the ocean, even when it is terrifyingly unpredictable.
Because you know you have the internal stability to withstand it.
Spot on.
Which brings up another massive misconception we need to dismantle. We often talk about peace as if it is a physical destination.
Like a place on a map.
Like it is a hidden treasure buried on some faraway deserted island, and if we just follow the map, or read the right self-help book, or take the right yoga class, we will finally arrive at peace and live happily ever after.
We treat it like retirement.
Yes, but peace isn't a place you arrive at, is it?
It's not at all. Treating peace as a static destination is a guaranteed recipe for constant, bitter disappointment.
So what is it?
Peace is a daily, moment-to-moment practice. It is a verb, not a noun.
A verb. I like that.
It is not a place you arrive at. It is a heavy tool you pick up and consciously use, repeatedly, sometimes 100 times a day.
Give me an example of using that tool.
It is the active, conscious choice to take a slow, deep breath, instead of reacting defensively when a colleague sharply criticizes you.
Oh, that's a hard one.
It is. Or it is the agonizing choice to forgive someone. Not because their toxic behavior was acceptable, but because carrying around the heavy, rotting baggage of resentment is actively destroying your own health.
It is an active decision to focus on what you possess rather than obsessing over what you lack.
You have hundreds of tiny, fleeting opportunities every single day to practice peace.
I want to push back slightly, or at least ask for a deeper clarification here.
Sure.
What does this all mean for happiness? Because in everyday English, I hear people use the words peace and happiness completely interchangeably.
They do, all the time.
But based on our material, they are quite different, almost fundamentally so.
That is a very astute observation, and it is a vital distinction to make. They are different in a very functional, operational way.
How so?
Happiness, generally speaking, is tied heavily to external circumstances.
It's reacting.
Highly reactive. It is a chemical reaction to something positive happening outside of you. You feel a surge of happiness when your boss publicly praises your work.
Or when you eat a fantastic, rich meal.
Or when you finally reach a long sought-after personal goal. Because it relies on those external triggers, happiness is naturally fleeting.
It comes and goes.
It spikes, and inevitably it dips. It is entirely dependent on the fluctuating weather of your life.
That peace is different.
Peace, however, is a cultivated internal state. It does not rely on external validation or perfect sunny conditions.
You can be peaceful in a storm.
Without a doubt. You can feel a profound sense of peace on a terrible rainy day. You can maintain a baseline of peace while mourning a loss, or when a massive plan completely falls apart.
Peace is stable.
To use another water analogy, if happiness is the chaotic, sparkling waves dancing on the surface of the water, Peace is the deep, dark, undisturbed, calm lake miles beneath that surface.
The deep, calm lake beneath the surface. I really like that image.
It's powerful.
And what is truly fascinating is that when you cultivate that deep lake of peace, you actually create the perfect, solid foundation for genuine, lasting happiness to build upon.
Yes.
Happiness without peace is just a sugar rush.
Absolutely. Without peace, happiness is manic and fragile.
Okay, so if peace is a practice, a muscle we have to flex, how do we actually go to the gym and practice it?
Building blocks.
Let's get into the 5 fundamental building blocks of a peaceful life.
Number 1.
Building block number 1 is gratitude. Now, I have to be honest with you.
Go ahead.
It sounds almost hopelessly cliche at this point. We see live, laugh, love, and gratitude stitched onto pillows everywhere.
On mugs, on t-shirts.
Everywhere. Is it really the simplest, most direct path to peace? Or is it just toxic positivity disguised as advice?
It is a fair skepticism because the concept has been heavily commodified. It sounds cliche precisely. Or rather, it sounds cliche simply because it is universally biologically effective.
But there is a difference between gratitude and toxic positivity.
A massive difference. We have to separate real gratitude from toxic positivity. Toxic positivity is ignoring reality and saying everything is awesome while your house is actively on fire.
Which is just denial.
Genuine gratitude is about intentionally noticing the small, positive fragments of reality that exist alongside the difficulty.
Like noticing the warmth of sunlight hitting your face during a miserable bumper-to-bumper morning commute.
Spot on. When you do this, you are actively physically shifting your brain's focus.
Let's look at what's actually happening under the hood there.
Right.
From an evolutionary standpoint, our brains are wired with a heavy negativity bias, right?
Without a doubt. We are biologically designed to constantly scan our environment for threats, predators, or problems.
That kept our ancestors alive in the wilderness.
It did. But in the modern corporate world, this primitive scanning mechanism means we are always looking for what is wrong.
The passive-aggressive email?
The slight frown from a partner.
The dip in our bank account.
Gratitude interrupts that primitive scanning mechanism. It forces a manual override.
So instead of scanning for threats, your mind is forced to hunt for things that are beneficial.
You're telling your brain to look for the good.
And a really practical tip from the material to rewire your brain this way is to avoid the pressure of the grand gratitude.
You don't need to be grateful for world peace every day.
Right. You don't have to write down, I am so grateful for my flawless health and my amazing career. The material suggests writing down 3 micro moments right before you go to bed.
Micro moments are key.
It can be the coffee I had at 10 a.m. was exceptionally good, or the cashier at the grocery store smiled at me.
It is about training the mind to seek out the good, no matter how microscopic.
It is neurological training. You are building pathways.
Let's move to building block number 2. Acceptance.
Now, I want to challenge this one too.
I welcome it.
If I am in a toxic workplace or a bad relationship, doesn't accepting reality as it is just mean I am giving up?
People ask this all the time.
Where is the line between acceptance and sheer apathy? We cause ourselves so much unnecessary turmoil by trying to control things, but shouldn't we try to fix bad situations?
That is the ultimate paradox of acceptance, and it trips up so many high achievers. Acceptance is absolutely not apathy.
Define apathy for us.
Apathy is saying, I don't care, I give up. Acceptance is saying, I clearly see the reality of this situation without adding my own layer of dramatic suffering to it.
Without the drama.
We spend massive, exhausting amounts of energy trying to control other people's opinions, the weather, the macroeconomy, and the distant future.
And we can't control any of that.
When we inevitably fail to control these uncontrollable forces, we feel anxious, furious, and defeated.
The material references the ancient Stoic philosopher Epictetus here.
A brilliant mind.
His perspective gives this so much historical weight. He was born a slave, so he knew a thing or two about lacking control over his external environment.
Yes, he did.
He famously said, "It is not things that disturb us, but our judgments about things."
That quote is the bedrock of cognitive behavioral therapy today.
Think about a mundane example, a massive traffic jam.
The great equalizer.
The traffic jam itself is a completely neutral event. It just is. There are metal boxes on a paved road, and they are not moving.
That is the factual reality.
The profound stress, the boiling anger, the elevated heart rate, the gripping of the steering wheel, that does not emanate from the cars.
No, it doesn't.
That comes entirely from your judgment of the traffic jam, your fierce resistance to it, your internal monologue screaming that you should be moving, that you will be late, that this is unfair.
The stress is completely optional.
Acceptance is recognizing the reality.
I am in traffic. And understanding that getting angry will not make the cars move 1 second faster.
You accept the immovable reality, which then frees your energy to decide how you want to act within that reality.
Do you want to listen to a podcast? Or do you want to scream at the dashboard?
That is a phenomenal distinction. The traffic jam just is. The suffering is the story I tell myself about the traffic jam.
Spot on.
That brings us to building block number 3, living in the present moment.
Time traveling.
It is staggering how much mental energy we waste time traveling. I catch myself doing this constantly.
We all do.
I will be washing the dishes, but my mind is 5 years in the past, replaying a conversation with an ex, wishing I had delivered a sharper comeback.
The classic shower argument.
Or I project myself 6 months into the future, agonizing over a hypothetical financial crisis that hasn't even materialized.
We are chronic, obsessive time travelers. And while we are busy living in the ghosts of yesterday or the phantoms of tomorrow, we completely tragically abandon the only moment we actually possess. The present. Mindfulness is the antidote here. And it is incredibly important to clarify that mindfulness does not require you to retreat to a silent monastery, burn incense, and sit cross-legged on a velvet cushion for 3 hours.
It is a highly practical, portable practice.
Right, it's about anchoring.
Indeed. It is simply the act of bringing your wandering attention forcefully but gently back to the current physical moment.
You can be profoundly mindful while folding laundry.
Feeling the texture of the fabric, noticing the residual heat from the dryer.
You can be mindful walking from your car to the office.
Noticing the exact rhythm of your footsteps on the concrete, the temperature of the air on your skin.
It's about dropping an anchor into the now so you stop drifting into the anxieties of the past and future.
And that grounding naturally bleeds into building block number 4, simplicity.
We live in a highly complicated world.
A hyper-consumerist society where modern advertising is essentially a billion-dollar psychological operation constantly yelling at us to accumulate.
Buy more, be more.
We need more clothes, sleeker gadgets, more social media followers, more impressive job titles.
The underlying insidious message is always that peace and happiness are just one more purchase away.
And yet, history's most peaceful individuals, from monks to philosophers to modern minimalists, they have always deeply understood the delicate art of needing less.
Decluttering your physical environment and, more importantly, your mental calendar allows peace the physical room it needs to breathe.
We cram our lives so full of objects and obligations that we suffocate our inner lives.
Simplicity is not about punishing yourself with austere deprivation. It is about pristine clarity.
It is about aggressively stripping away the noise, the clutter, and the non-essentials so you can clearly finally see what actually matters to your core well-being. It is making space. If your closet is packed to the brim, you can't find your favorite shirt. If your mind is packed to the brim with junk, you can't find your peace.
That is a great way to put it.
Finally, we have building block number 5, kindness and compassion. The material uses such a visceral, vivid analogy here.
The hot coals.
Holding on to anger and deep-seated resentment is like picking up hot coals in your bare hands. You think you're going to throw them at the person who wronged you, but you are the only one getting third-degree burns.
That imagery is incredibly accurate to the physiological experience of anger. It is nearly impossible to cultivate a serene, peaceful internal state while your hands are metaphorically burning with rage.
Your nervous system simply will not allow it.
And this concept extends crucially to self-compassion as well.
This is huge.
How often are we our own most vicious, unforgiving critics? We say things to ourselves in our own heads that we would never dream of saying to a stranger.
Let alone someone we love.
Forgiving your own inevitable human mistakes, honoring your personal limits without paralyzing guilt, and treating yourself with radical gentleness. This is how you build an internal soil where peace can actually take root and thrive.
Okay, this is all fantastic theory. The building blocks make logical sense, but let's be real. Life is incredibly messy.
It absolutely is.
Theory often falls apart when reality punches you in the mouth. So let's put these concepts through some rigorous, real-world stress tests.
Let's do it.
We're going to apply this peaceful architecture to the messy situations we all face. And as we transition here, I want to seamlessly weave in our advanced English vocabulary focus.
Excellent.
Let's imagine a typical chaotic week. It's Monday morning. You are completely overwhelmed at work.
We've all been there.
You are drowning in overlapping deadlines. Your inbox is a disaster zone of unread emails, and your boss just casually dropped another massive, urgent file on your desk.
Panic sets in.
The usual conditioned reaction is sheer panic, frantically snapping at your coworkers, and eventually losing sleep. How do we apply the peaceful approach when we are absolutely inundated?
That word inundated perfectly captures the feeling.
Let's define it.
To be inundated is to be flooded, overwhelmed by an influx of things, like a town inundated by floodwaters.
So when you are mentally inundated, what is the first step?
The first step is the hardest, but it is the most vital. You must aggressively pause.
Pause.
You force yourself to take 3 deep, slow breaths to physically reset your autonomic nervous system. You have to stop the physiological panic before you can address the work.
In that.
And then you ask yourself one ruthless focusing question. What is the one most important thing I can do right now?
Not the 5 things, not the 10 things.
Exactly one thing. You isolate the single most critical task and you focus entirely on that. You ignore the floodwaters for a moment and focus on laying one single sandbag.
And the material suggests a specific affirmation here to anchor you. I am doing my best, and my best is enough.
It's simple but powerful.
Let's look at a word you might use to describe the opposite of this calm approach. We often act frantically.
Frantically.
When you do something frantically, you are doing it in a hurried, anxious, almost chaotic, disordered way. You are typing fast, making mistakes, breathing shallowly.
So instead of working frantically because you're inundated, you use an affirmation.
A positive, anchoring statement you repeat to yourself to center your mind.
Spot on. The affirmation acts as a psychological circuit breaker. It halts the frantic, spiraling energy and pulls you back into a grounded state where you can tackle that one single task with actual clarity, rather than just spinning your wheels.
Let's move to Tuesday, a situation where a close relationship genuinely hurts you.
This is a tough one.
Let's say a trusted loved one says something deeply betraying or sharply angering. I'll share a personal anecdote here.
Please do.
A while back, a very close friend made a really harsh, unsolicited comment about my career path over dinner. My immediate knee-jerk instinct wasn't to find my inner peace or set a healthy boundary.
What was it?
My instinct was to build a massive brick wall, shut down completely, and internally plot how to cut them out of my life.
Which is a deeply human protective response. We want to shield ourselves.
Right.
But the peaceful approach here is highly counterintuitive for many. It requires not suppressing your emotions.
Let's define suppressing.
Suppressing is the act of forcibly pushing down or hiding your true feelings, like trying to hold an inflated beach ball underwater.
It takes immense, exhausting effort.
And eventually, it explodes to the surface. Peace does not mean pasting a fake plastic smile on your face and pretending you are not bleeding when someone cuts you.
It means boldly acknowledging the pain.
You say to yourself out loud, if necessary, this feeling is valid. I am deeply hurt.
So you validate it first. But then what? You don't just sit in the hurt.
No. Once you validate your own emotion, you then attempt and exercise an extreme empathy. You try to see the situation from their flawed perspective.
Crucially, understanding their perspective does not mean excusing or condoning their toxic behavior.
Undeniably. It means trying to comprehend what pain, insecurity, or fear inside them caused them to lash out at you. Hurt people hurt people.
From that place of understanding, you make a conscious, calm decision.
You might need to set a firm boundary, a clear limit you establish to protect your own psychological well-being.
Or you might choose the path of forgiveness.
And we must redefine forgiveness here. It is not letting them off the hook.
It might be an act of contrition on their part, perhaps, but for you, it is simply freeing yourself from carrying the rotting burden of a grudge.
Let's explore those words.
A grudge is a persistent, toxic feeling of ill will or resentment towards someone for a past insult or injury. It's like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die.
And you mentioned contrition, which is a fantastic advanced word.
Contrition is the state of feeling remorseful and penitent.
So if your friend shows genuine contrition, forgiveness might be easier.
But even if they don't, you avoid holding a grudge by not suppressing your feelings and instead establishing a protective boundary.
That is a perfect synthesis of the emotional mechanics at play. Boundaries are the invisible architecture that keeps our relationships healthy and our internal sanctuary protected from external chaos.
Let's roll into Wednesday night. You are lying in bed, the lights are off, and you are engaging in the modern ritual of doom scrolling.
The comparison trap.
You fall straight into the comparison trap. You are swiping through social media, and everyone seems to have a vastly more lucrative career, a fitter body, a more aesthetically pleasing home, and a more glamorous life.
It feels awful.
Suddenly, your perfectly fine, comfortable life feels utterly, painfully inadequate.
This is a modern epidemic. And the vital concept to remember here is that social media is a highly curated highlight reel.
Curated. Let's look at that word.
It means carefully chosen and thoughtfully organized or presented. People are acting as the museum directors of their own lives, displaying only the masterpieces and hiding the messy sketches in the basement.
You are brutally comparing your messy, chaotic, behind-the-scenes documentary to someone else's heavily edited, filtered, and curated highlight reel.
It is a rigged game. You cannot win.
So what is the peaceful approach when you feel that wave of envy washing over you?
You must catch yourself in that exact moment of comparison and actively, aggressively redirect your focus.
You forcibly bring your attention back to your own physical reality and your own specific gratitude list.
The only valid, logical comparison you can ever make as a human being is comparing who you are today to who you were yesterday. Everything else is fiction.
I want to highlight the word inadequate here. It means feeling like you are fundamentally not good enough or lacking in some essential quality or quantity.
When the curated highlight reel makes you feel inadequate, you must consciously redirect.
Change the direction or focus of your attention.
It is a powerful, necessary mental pivot. It takes relentless practice, but redirecting that energy saves you from the exhausting, hollow cycle of envy and self-loathing.
Now it's Thursday, and the existential dread sets in. Situation number 4. Uncertainty about the future.
Great unknown.
Maybe you are experiencing deep anxiety about your long-term career trajectory, a looming health test result, or the unpredictable macroeconomic climate.
The future is an entirely unwritten blank page.
And for the human brain, that lack of data can be absolutely terrifying. We tend to obsessively plan and micromanage to create a comforting, albeit false, illusion of control.
We deeply crave certainty. Our brains demand to know what happens next so they can prepare.
But the peaceful approach requires us to surrender to the vast, unavoidable unknown.
You have to boldly admit to yourself that you simply do not know what will happen tomorrow, and that no one else on the planet truly knows either.
You then pull your anxious focus strictly back to what you can tangibly control today.
What one practical, concrete step can you take in this immediate 24-hour window? Do that one thing, and release your white-knuckled grip on the rest.
This brings to mind the beautiful Japanese philosophical concept of wabi-sabi, which the material touches upon.
A fascinating concept.
I want to dive a little deeper into this. Wabi-sabi is essentially the aesthetic and philosophical practice of finding deep, profound beauty in impermanence and imperfection.
In Western culture, we obsess over permanence.
Anti-aging creams, buildings made to last forever, relationships that must never change. Wabi-sabi says nothing lasts forever, nothing is ever fully complete, and nothing is perfect.
And that is not a tragedy. That is precisely what makes life beautiful.
It is a profound philosophical shift. When you stop angrily demanding that things remain permanent and certain, you stop fighting the natural, chaotic flow of the universe.
You stop wasting energy swimming upstream.
Let's unpack the vocabulary here. We have impermanence, which is the fundamental, unavoidable quality of not lasting forever. Everything is transient.
We also mentioned being obsessive,
which describes thinking about something constantly in an unhealthy, all-consuming, intrusive way. Embracing impermanence is the ultimate cure for obsessive uncertainty.
Accurately stated. It teaches you to appreciate the flower, essentially, because you know it will wilt tomorrow.
Let's move to Friday.
Yeah.
You are at a busy social gathering, or maybe you are just walking through a crowded city street, and it hits you.
The weight of loneliness.
The weight of loneliness. It is a heavy one. You can feel a crushing sense of alienation even when you are physically surrounded by dozens of people.
It's that isolating feeling of being fundamentally unseen and misunderstood by the world.
The initial instinctual reaction to loneliness is often to withdraw even further into oneself,
which creates a brutal, self-fulfilling, vicious cycle. The peaceful approach starts with radically normalizing the feeling.
Loneliness is not a disease.
It is a universal human experience. Recognizing that you are not fundamentally broken or uniquely unlovable for feeling lonely strips away the thick layer of toxic shame associated with it.
The next practical step is to reach out in small, highly sincere ways. A quick, vulnerable text to an old friend, or striking up a genuine conversation with a barista.
But perhaps the most profound psychological advice here is learning the crucial, life-altering difference between loneliness and solitude.
I love this distinction. Let's break that down.
Loneliness is a feeling of painful lack. It is a state of feeling isolated and disconnected.
And solitude.
Solitude, on the other hand, is the state of being happily, intentionally alone. It's a sanctuary.
When you learn to genuinely enjoy your own company, to find rich entertainment and peace in your own solitary presence, loneliness loses its sharpest, most terrifying teeth.
You become your own best company.
Let's highlight those words. To withdraw is to pull back from people or situations, retreating defensively into yourself.
To normalize is to treat an experience as a standard, expected, regular part of life, rather than a freak anomaly.
And solitude is the positive, chosen, constructive state of being alone. Alienation is the feeling of being estranged or isolated from others.
You normalize the feeling of alienation so you don't withdraw, and you aim to transform the painful feeling of isolation into the comforting, restorative state of solitude.
Solitude is where we often recharge our depleted inner peace. It is a necessary, quiet sanctuary from the noise of the world.
It's the weekend now, and you make a mistake, a big one.
Oh, no.
Let's say you send an embarrassing email to the wrong person, or you make a bad financial call, or you say something incredibly foolish at a party.
And your brain just puts the memory on an endless, agonizing loop. It is a cycle of relentless self-criticism. We tend to castigate ourselves.
Mistakes are simply data points. They prove that you are actively interacting with the world, taking risks, and trying.
The peaceful approach here requires a radical, almost uncomfortable shift in how we speak to ourselves internally.
Think about a very close, beloved friend who just came to you in tears because they made the exact same mistake you just did.
Would you berate them? Would you call them stupid, incompetent, and tell them they ruin everything they touch?
Never. You'd be horrified if someone spoke to your friend that way.
You would be relentlessly supportive. You would put a hand on their shoulder and say, hey, take a breath. It happens to the best of us. Let's figure out how to fix it together.
Right. So why then is it completely acceptable to speak to yourself with such vicious, unyielding hostility?
It shouldn't be.
You must treat yourself with the exact same compassion you would readily, instinctively offer a friend.
Let's look at the vocabulary. We use the word castigate, which means to reprimand or punish someone severely.
We often castigate ourselves through self-reproach,
which is an expression of disapproval or disappointment in oneself. But the antidote is compassion, a deep, empathetic awareness of suffering coupled with the genuine wish to relieve it. You counter self-reproach, not with more self-punishment, but with radical self-compassion.
And that self-compassion is the critical mechanism that allows you to actually learn the painful lesson the mistake is offering, rather than just being emotionally crushed by the weight of the shame.
Shame is a terrible teacher. Compassion allows for growth.
Let's hit the final stress test. It's Sunday afternoon. You are not in a crisis. Nothing is actively going wrong, but life just feels entirely flat, gray, and boring.
You are completely unmotivated.
You are experiencing apathy. You are just going through the motions, feeling like you are languishing.
Modern society vehemently tells us that boredom is a dangerous problem to be solved immediately with a screen, with entertainment, or with dramatic, impulsive life changes.
The peaceful approach reframes boredom entirely.
Apathy and flatness are not necessarily glaring red flags that your life is fundamentally wrong. They are often the necessary, quiet space required before a major cognitive breakthrough.
Boredom is a misunderstood gift. It is an empty, terrifying canvas. In a world of relentless 247 hyperstimulation, a flat period is simply your overtaxed brain demanding rest.
It is an invitation to sit quietly and ask yourself gentle, curious questions. What activities make me completely lose track of time? What did I love doing when I was 10 years old?
Boredom creates the necessary silent void for genuine creativity to spark.
Let's explore languishing. It's a great word that became popular recently. It means failing to make progress or be successful, to exist in an unpleasant or unwanted situation, often lacking vitality.
It's the murky middle ground between depression and flourishing.
apathy is a complete chilling lack of interest, enthusiasm, or concern, and a breakthrough is a sudden, dramatic, and important discovery or realization.
So instead of letting apathy keep you languishing, you bravely sit with the uncomfortable boredom until it organically leads to a breakthrough.
That is a wonderful way to encapsulate the journey. You have to tolerate the void of boredom, because that void is the exact womb where the breakthrough is born.
So true.
I want to shift gears significantly here. We've talked about philosophy, stoicism, and emotional intelligence. But some listeners might be sitting there thinking, this all sounds very nice, very poetic, but is it real?
Is it just soft self-help fluff?
Let's look under the hood. Let's look at the hard biological science of serenity. If we look at the physical, structural changes in the brain, the data is actually quite startling.
What is actually happening inside our skulls when we are chronically stressed versus when we are at peace?
The physical, measurable changes in the brain are profound and, frankly, a bit alarming. When you live in a state of chronic, unresolved stress and perpetual negative thinking, when you are constantly anticipating that next wave, you are actively, physically altering your brain's architecture.
The amygdala is essentially the brain's primitive fire alarm.
It is the almond-shaped mass responsible for processing fear, anxiety, and threat detection. Under chronic stress, the amygdala actually becomes physically enlarged and incredibly hyperreactive.
It starts perceiving minor annoyances like a slow internet connection as mortal threats.
At the very same time, the prefrontal cortex, the sophisticated, evolved part of your brain, sitting right behind your forehead, responsible for rational thought, complex decision-making, and regulating your emotions. It literally shrinks in physical volume.
You are biologically, structurally impairing your own ability to stay calm.
That is genuinely terrifying, but also deeply fascinating. The stress is physically rewiring our hardware to be more fearful, more reactive, and less rational. We are turning into reactive animals.
But the reversal of this process is what is truly amazing, isn't it? Neuroplasticity.
Yes, neuroplasticity is the brain's ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections throughout life. Practices like daily mindfulness, meditation, and intentional focused gratitude have been empirically proven in functional MRI scans to reverse this structural damage.
Regular mindfulness practice physically shrinks the enlarged amygdala back down to its proper healthy size, calming the hyperactive fire alarm.
Furthermore, it actively increases the density of gray matter in the areas of the brain associated with profound self-awareness, empathy, and emotional control.
You are literally, biologically building a calmer, thicker, more resilient brain.
And there is extensive psychological research to back up the behavioral side of this too. Let's talk about the famous study by Dr. Robert Emmons regarding gratitude.
A landmark study.
He didn't just ask people to be thankful. He conducted a rigorous study where he had one group of participants write down a few specific things they were grateful for just once a week.
Another group wrote down daily hassles, and a third wrote down neutral events.
The result: the gratitude group was measured to be 25% happier and more optimistic than the control groups. They even reported fewer physical health complaints and exercised more.
A 25% measurable increase in well-being just from a brief weekly list.
It empirically proves that our focal point dictates our psychological reality. If we look at the broader field of positive psychology, Dr. Martin Seligman, one of the founding fathers of the field, developed a comprehensive framework known as the PERMA model.
It outlines the 5 core, scientifically validated elements of human well-being and flourishing. PERMA is an acronym. It stands for positive emotion, engagement, relationships, meaning, and accomplishment.
Let's break those down quickly because I think it proves a huge point about peace.
Certainly, positive emotion is about cultivating optimism and viewing the past constructively. Engagement is about finding flow in your activities where you lose track of time because you are so absorbed.
Relationships are about authentic, supportive, human connections.
Meaning is about belonging to and serving something bigger than yourself. And accomplishment is the pursuit of mastery and success for its own intrinsic sake.
What is truly remarkable and highly relevant to our discussion is that not a single one of these 5 elements requires you to be a millionaire, to have a perfect body, to be famous, or to have a completely stress-free, problem-free life.
Deep meaning, profound engagement, and good relationships are highly accessible to everyday, average people right now, exactly where they are.
Let's cement the advanced vocabulary from the science section so our listeners can speak about neurobiology with confidence. We have the amygdala, the prefrontal cortex, and gray matter.
The amygdala, as we discussed, is the primitive almond-shaped mass of gray matter inside each cerebral hemisphere, intimately involved with the experiencing of intense emotions, especially primal fear.
The prefrontal cortex is the cerebral cortex covering the front part of the frontal lobe. Think of it as the rational CEO of the brain, handling complex forward planning, social behavior, and crucial emotional regulation.
Gray matter is the darker tissue of the brain and spinal cord, consisting mainly of nerve cell bodies and branching dendrites, where the actual computational processing is done.
So the ultimate goal of our peace practice is a quiet, small amygdala and dense, robust gray matter in our CEO prefrontal cortex.
That is an excellent way to summarize the neuroscience. It is entirely about giving the CEO of your brain the necessary physical resources it needs to manage and quiet the primitive fire alarm.
Now, moving from the hard science back to the practical daily application, let's talk about mantras and myth-busting.
Mantras are so helpful.
The material poetically calls these mantras lanterns in the dark. These are short, powerful, highly condensed anchor thoughts that you can carry with you in your pocket when the mental weather gets turbulent.
A few of my absolute favorites are, "This too shall pass," which is a perfect grounding reminder of the impermanence we discussed earlier.
Another incredibly powerful one is "I am enough, unconditionally as I am," and a highly practical one for the modern workplace. Not everything that feels intensely urgent is actually important.
Those phrases act as immediate mental circuit breakers. When the amygdala fires up and the spiral of anxiety begins, reciting a mantra stops the spiral dead in its tracks.
It gives the prefrontal cortex a second to catch up.
But perhaps the most encompassing, paradigm-shifting mantra from the source material is the stark realization that peace is an inside job.
It boldly reinforced the idea that you, and only you, are the supreme architect of your own mental state.
No external savior, no perfect partner, no lottery win, no flawless boss is coming to magically grant you permanent peace. You have to diligently construct it yourself, thought by thought, action by action.
And a massive part of constructing that peace is aggressively tearing down the false limiting beliefs we subconsciously hold about it. Let's bust some common misconceptions right now.
Myth number one.
Myth number one. Truly peaceful people never get angry. They are just floating on a cloud of zen all day.
That is a highly damaging, unrealistic myth. It falsely implies that peaceful people are lobotomized, passive robots devoid of passion.
The truth is, peaceful people feel anger just like anyone else.
Anger is a necessary, protective, natural human emotion that tells us when a boundary has been crossed. The profound difference lies entirely in the response.
A peaceful person acknowledges the sudden spike of anger, feels the heat of it, and then consciously chooses a constructive, measured, thoughtful response, rather than indulging in an explosive, damaging, blind reaction.
They respond, they don't react.
Myth number two. Happiness means feeling absolutely phenomenal 24/7.
Chasing a perpetual, unbroken state of pure joy is an exhausting, biologically impossible task.
True, sustainable psychological well-being is expansive and robust enough to include plenty of room for deep sadness, heavy grief, and sharp frustration.
It is about the overall resilient baseline of your life, not the impossible eradication of all negative human emotions. Trying to be happy 24/7 will ironically make you utterly miserable.
Myth number three. You need to meditate for 2 hours a day in a silent room to find peace.
While long, dedicated meditation sessions are wonderful and transformative for some people who have the time, peace is highly accessible in microdoses.
Taking just one deliberate, focused minute to pay attention to your breathing while sitting on a crowded, noisy, chaotic subway car can dramatically shift your nervous system out of fight or flight mode.
It is entirely about the frequency and the intention of the practice, not necessarily the grueling duration.
Myth number four. Contentment kills motivation. I hear this from high achievers, entrepreneurs, and athletes all the time.
They are terrified that if they actually find inner peace, they will lose their competitive edge. They think anxiety is their superpower.
It is a very common fear among high performers, but it is completely backwards. Acting constantly out of frantic desperation, biting anxiety, and chronic burning dissatisfaction inevitably leads to catastrophic burnout, not sustainable long-term success.
Peace, conversely, provides profound, unclouded clarity. When you act from a grounded place of clear vision, you're often vastly more productive, highly creative, and strategically motivated than when you're just running blindly on the toxic fumes of cortisol and anxiety.
Peace makes you a sniper. Anxiety makes you a machine gun firing blindly.
And the final myth, myth number 5, Peace is just a natural personality trait. People say, oh, she's just a naturally calm person. She was born that way. But I'm just genetically wired to be an anxious mess.
That is a very convenient, comforting excuse designed to avoid doing the hard psychological work.
While it is true that genetics and early childhood upbringing play a role in our initial baseline temperament, peace is fundamentally a highly practiced skill.
It is exactly like learning to speak advanced English or learning to play a complex piece on the piano. It requires consistent, deliberate, sometimes frustrating practice.
Every single human being with an intact brain has the biological capacity to develop significantly greater inner peace if they're willing to put in the deliberate effort to train their mind.
Speaking of doing the work and putting in the practice, let's give our listener a concrete blueprint.
Section 7 of our material is all about architecting a daily practice.
And we are pairing it with our final deep vocabulary mastery. The material lays out a brilliant, highly actionable, realistic 20-minute daily framework. If you, the listener, want to start building this architecture today, here's exactly how you do it.
Let's look at the morning routine. It takes just 5 to 10 minutes before you leave your bedroom.
The first moments of the morning set the psychological trajectory for the entire day. Instead of immediately grabbing your glowing phone and defensively reacting to the world's endless demands and crises, you must start with proactive intention.
The framework suggests utilizing the 4-4-6 breathing technique to manually regulate your nervous system right out of bed.
Let's walk through it.
You inhale quietly and deeply through your nose for a count of 4. You hold that breath at the top for a count of 4. And then you exhale slowly and completely through your mouth for an extended count of 6.
Doing this just 3 or 4 times physically signals your brainstem that the environment is safe.
After breathing, you set a single clear intention for the day. It could be, today, I choose to remain patient with my difficult coworker. You proactively, deliberately decide who you are going to be rather than letting the day decide for you.
Then we have the micro moments scattered throughout the day. These are tiny, critical resets during transitions.
If you are moving from a highly stressful, contentious Zoom meeting to walking into the kitchen to eat your lunch, take 30 seconds to physically drop your shoulders, unclench your jaw, and take a breath.
The material highlights the S.P technique here, which I think is a lifesaver. Can you walk us through the mechanics of that?
The S.P technique is a brilliant, discrete intervention for when you feel sudden, overwhelming stress arising in real time. S stands for simply stop what you're doing. Freeze for a microsecond.
T is for take a deep, intentional breath.
O is for observe what you are feeling physically and emotionally. Notice the tightness in your chest, the heat in your face, without judging yourself for having the reaction.
And P is for proceed, but proceed with conscious awareness and chosen intention, rather than a blind, knee-jerk reaction.
It is a 10-second cognitive intervention that can literally save your entire afternoon from spiraling.
And finally, the evening routine, which is another simple 5 to 10 minutes. Instead of doom scrolling through terrible news until you pass out from sheer exhaustion, you deliberately review the day by asking your brain a specific question.
What went well today?
You do your gratitude journaling, writing down those 3 small, specific micro moments we discussed earlier.
And then you do a physical body scan, lying flat in bed, consciously and systematically relaxing every single muscle group, from your toes up through your legs, your stomach, your shoulders, all the way up to unclamping your jaw.
It is a comprehensive, highly effective 20-minute daily investment that pays massive compounding psychological dividends over time.
The secret ingredient to this entire framework is consistency. Doing these small, seemingly insignificant actions daily creates the robust, unshakable architecture of peace we have been talking about for the past hour.
Now let's head into our English practice corner to deeply solidify some truly beautiful, elevated vocabulary words associated with today's deep dive. We strongly encourage you to try writing these words in a journal or actively using them in a sentence today.
Let's start by unpacking serenity and contentment. These are often confused, but they have distinct flavors.
They do. Serenity is a noun that describes a state of being utterly calm, peaceful, and entirely untroubled. But it is more than just quiet.
Think about a glass of water that has been shaken up with dirt and then left sitting perfectly still for hours until all the dirt has completely settled to the bottom.
That crystal clear, unclouded, undisturbed state of mind, that's true serenity. You might say, after the chaotic storm of the divorce, she finally found a deep sense of serenity living by the ocean.
Contentment, on the other hand, is a feeling of quiet, peaceful satisfaction. It is less about aesthetic or environmental beauty and entirely about an internal, grounded knowing that what you currently have is enough.
It is the absence of craving. Despite not getting the massive promotion, he felt a surprising contentment with his current balanced role.
Next, we have tranquility and inner harmony. Tranquility is very similar to serenity. It is the quality or state of being tranquil, free from any agitation of mind or spirit. It often implies a quiet, soothing environment.
The secluded cabin deep in the snowy woods offered a rare, much-needed tranquility.
Inner harmony describes a highly functional state where your mind, your physical body, and your emotions are in perfect, synchronized balance, working seamlessly together without any internal friction or conflict.
Years of dedicated therapy and yoga helped him finally achieve genuine inner harmony.
Then we arrive at equanimity and resilience, two incredibly powerful Stoic concepts. Equanimity is a fantastic advanced word. It means mental calmness, total composure, and an unshakable evenness of temper, especially in a highly difficult or provocative situation.
It is the profound ability to not be thrown off balance when the world tries to trip you. Even when the hostile journalist aggressively attacked his character, the politician answered the questions with surprising, unshaken equanimity.
Resilience is the vital capacity to withstand or to recover quickly from extreme difficulties. It is psychological toughness and elasticity.
Her remarkable resilience allowed her to bounce back from the devastating career setback, stronger and more focused than before.
And our last two concepts, the noun bliss and the highly important phrasal verb, to let go.
Bliss is a state of perfect, almost transcendent happiness and profound joy, typically oblivious to everything else in the world.
Floating quietly in the warm, crystal-clear ocean water was pure, unadulterated bliss.
And to let go is a phrasal verb meaning to intentionally relinquish your grip, your desire for control, or your deep attachment to something, especially something that is actively causing you psychological pain.
After years of trying to change her toxic father, she finally learned to let go of the fantasy of a perfect family.
Those specific words, equanimity, resilience, letting go, serenity. They are not just vocabulary, they are the very psychological tools required to build the beautiful life we have been discussing today.
When you practice using this elevated vocabulary, you are simultaneously reinforcing the complex psychological concepts in your own mind. You are building the scaffolding.
So what does this massive wealth of information mean for you, the listener, right now, today?
To summarize everything we've deeply explored, you absolutely do not need to wait for the mythical perfect moment to start living a peaceful life.
You do not need to wait for all your complex problems to magically vanish, because they simply won't. The perfect moment to begin is right now, today, right in the middle of the messiness, the stress, and the chaos of your current life.
Peace is entirely about slow, steady progress, not flawless perfection.
Every single time you consciously choose to take a deep breath instead of yelling in traffic, every time you choose to write down a moment of gratitude over voicing a bitter complaint, you are laying a solid, permanent brick in your own internal sanctuary.
And I want to leave you with a final, slightly provocative thought to mull over as you go about the rest of your day. We have clearly established that peace is a deliberate choice in how we respond to our internal and external environment.
So what happens to our worldview if we shift our perspective entirely?
What if we start viewing our most difficult, agonizing, frustrating moments? The endless traffic jams, the rude comments from colleagues, the unexpected, painful failures, not as terrible obstacles blocking our path to peace, but as the very heavy weights we must lift in order to build our internal peace muscles.
If a perfectly calm, glassy sea never made a highly skilled sailor, perhaps a completely problem-free, easy life never created a truly strong, profoundly peaceful mind.
That is a brilliant, paradigm-shifting reframe. The frustrating obstacles are actually the gym where we build our peace muscles. The resistance is the training. I absolutely love that.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on this extensive deep dive and learning with us today. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe to this YouTube channel.